So, hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of Hidden Layers Diversity in Design. Today, I have a wonderful guest, amazing editorial designer, graphic designer, and one of those person I see everywhere and always make great speeches. And I love to have you here. Please, Kieron, I don't want to talk too much. Please introduce yourself and tell us what you do, please.
Of course. Well, thank you, Dave, for having me on the podcast, man. So
A
my name's
pleasure.
Kieron Lewis. Yeah, I'm a freelance graphic designer, predominantly editorial design. That's my baby. That's what I studied in for nearly
Hmm.
a decade, really, actually. So
Okay.
working on working with publishers, that's kind of my space. But I'm also an active guest speaker at universities too. So I go to universities
Hmm.
quite a lot and also give talks about editorial design and diversity within design as well. So I've been
Hmm.
doing that for the best part of a decade.
Wow, that's amazing. It's a long time. Have you always been a creative since you was a kid? Have you how actually do you grow into like becoming an editorial design? What was the steps you took?
Sure. I mean, we're gonna go back now, probably what, even 20 years, right? So going far, far back, and I feel like my background was actually advertising. Funny enough,
Wow.
like when I left university, I was in advertising as a junior designer.
Hmm.
Editorial wasn't really something I pursued straight after university. For
Hmm.
the sheer fact I didn't know how to get into that space, right?
Okay.
Um, so my love for editorial came from doing my side projects whilst
Okay.
in my junior role in advertising. And it was
Hmm.
when I was doing more of these side projects with friends, collaborative efforts, that I was like, I'm enjoying this. I think I'm pretty good at it. Let's see if we can,
Yeah.
sustain it by having a role in this space.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I didn't actually find my role in editorial as an editorial designer until maybe 5 years after university. But
Okay.
then it went down a weird path because I was also made redundant, and that first role that I really loved. So things took
Yeah.
a weird edge where I found my role, did editorial design. I'm in a full
Yeah.
time position, but then I got made redundant. So it kind of went
Hmm.
back to square one a little bit, and that's where, if
Yeah.
I'll be real with you, that's where I went into freelance, and that's where I started
Okay.
to build my own catalog of publications and working with publishers, and
Hmm.
then the rest was kind of history, man.
Wow, that's amazing. And you know what is funny? I love it because I started as well. Everybody know me for illustration and animation, but believe it or not, I did. So I have like books and books of logo design and web design. That's how I started. I know I had the love for illustration, but somehow I don't know. I just felt you need to start somewhere within the creative field, and eventually it will lead you back to what you love, I guess. And it's good to hear you started. So you started freelance straight after getting redundant. You start freelance straight away, or you went through?
Yeah, it was a period where I was doing a lot of side self-directed projects, right? So
Okay.
the actual catalyst in terms of me going freelance actually came from pandemic. It was a
Okay.
mad time because obviously pandemic, we all know what that was like for a lot of folks, especially in the working space. And this was also from a personal side. My wife and I, we were planning our wedding as well. So we
Mhm.
had financial, trying to build up our finances on that front, and then thinking, hang on, I've been made redundant, I'm going freelance
Yeah.
and I'm getting married. Like
Yeah.
all the signs are
Yeah.
suggesting do something more that is going to sustain you, right? But I feel like we
Yeah.
kind of sit down and we started to break down, um, how can this be a tangible thing? How can we make it work, for the next three,
Yeah.
4 months? And I'll be honest with you, my very first break in terms of
Hmm.
freelance in publishing came from it was recommended by a friend of mine who I worked with before in the past, and she worked at HarperCollins, and that's where her putting me forward to the HarperCollins team,
Yeah.
obviously having my meetings and what with them, that was my first role working on a hardback
Okay.
publication. Yeah, man, that was and then since then it was
Nice.
able to kind of build up from there.
No, but that's amazing because I believe in those people that kind of push you for the first time just because they believe in you and they know that you work hard. So it's nice to hear those people make the changes all the time. And could I actually ask you, like, was it difficult for you getting into the creative world? I'm just talking about from the optic of coming from a diverse background. I know you grow up in England, so how was it for you? Like, because I come from Italy and we struggle a lot back there, but when I came to London, it actually changed my life for the better, I would say. So, do you experience some problem when you was younger in England as well?
Not say problem, but I feel like there was elements where, especially in advertising, because like I mentioned, that was my
Hmm.
first role, and it was rife in a sense where there wasn't many folks that looked like me in this space. And
Exactly. Yeah.
putting aside the creative skill set, I think
Hmm.
confidence was a big
Okay.
factor. And I, didn't-
Yeah.
I'm not a quiet, shy folk. You know, my friends who know me, not a shy guy, but I kind of went in my shell a little bit when I was in these spaces where if I'm pitching or I'm delivering it, you know, I'm explaining my presentation or project,
Hmm.
it's not like I didn't know what I was talking about, but my confidence wasn't always there when I'm in a room with
Mm.
20 folks and there's no one that looks
Do you
close
have
to
to pay
being like,
more? Do you have to pay more attention? Don't get me wrong. Shy is not being shy is one thing, but I feel like when you walk in a room where you are different, even if you're confident, sometimes you are a lot
yeah.
of times in your head, and you always have to be careful how you say things or like how you carry yourself because it can be misinterpreted if it makes sense. Did it happen to you many
Always.
times as well? Yeah. Okay.
A few times, but do you know what? I feel like my upbringing with my family as well, like especially
Mm-hmm.
my mum, from very
Mm-hmm.
young, I will always remember, and we're going back to school days. She always said you
Mm-hmm.
have to work twice as hard, and these elements of,
Yes.
you know, never feel like you don't belong in a room, right? And I had that from very young, and I don't know if that's a Jamaican culture as well, where
Yeah.
you know you say what you mean, kind of thing, and you own it.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I was in spaces where I didn't always feel 100% confident,
Mm-hmm.
there was always that element of me like, you know what? No, Kieran, I know my stuff. I know my work. Like, you know, and plus I was junior, right? So there was my skill
Yeah.
set to where I'm at now is obviously very
Mm-hmm.
different, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
that's why the side hustles were healthy because even though my full-time junior role wasn't cutting it and I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really able to be creatively fulfilled, the side hustles and the side projects,
Yeah.
that's what kept me creatively afloat. And that fed in that
Yeah.
confidence, these side hustles fed
Yeah.
into my full-time space. If that makes
No,
sense.
that's amazing. That's amazing because I think sometimes, like even me as my father is Nigerian, discipline, work hard was there. But sometimes I feel like even if you learn that, it's difficult always to wear those shoes of confidence, because when something is new, I feel like even if you're confident, sometimes you kind of step back a little bit and like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. It's just because your surrounding lets you feel like maybe, I don't know, give you certain
Yeah.
insecurity even when you walk as a confident man, so it's
Mm,
interesting to hear. And
but you
could
know
I
what,
actually
brother?
ask,
Oh,
go for it, please go for
no, I
it.
was going to say just on that. That's why podcasts, or even just like the idea of people like ourselves that look like us, communicate well, and we come together more because we're in like right now. This feels already. I mean, this is a safe space, right? Because we're two people
Yeah,
of
yeah,
color
yeah, it's
talk about
yeah,
diversity. So that's why I'm like, that's why it's important to have more people that look like us and different backgrounds that do more together because
yeah,
also we're more powerful together, right? As a community. So
trust
that's
me,
why I feel like it's
trust me.
necessary to have these platforms, man.
And I also think, like, don't get me wrong, I think, like, when somebody is different, he has more to give. Just because, like, think about it, like, even in art, I would say this, it's like, if you look at Western culture, so you see the art and everything, and then you go in Africa, you go Caribbean places, and you see the art, it's totally different sometimes. Inspiration come in different shape, different forms, and the world is so big. So having a group of diverse people working together, for me, is a dream. And if you know me, I do like a lot of collaboration. This year, I
Of
did
course.
100 collaboration with 100 different artists, and
Wow.
it's
I didn't
just
know that.
amazing.
That's
But,
that's
but
100, bro. Yeah.
no, no, no. But it's funny. I did space to do that just because back in my days when I was younger, not a lot of people would give me the opportunity to work with them. And now that I came to this stage that I'm well known and I've worked for so many business, now the big one that I used to contact now want to work with me. But rather, I prefer to work with those underdog that have been in my shoes, or people that have always helped the community. And this is how actually we bond. Same-minded people that want to work together to change maybe the next generation just by simply saying, come together, work together. Because listen, the creative industry, there's not one person for everything. You always
Yeah.
need to work with someone somehow. So I think this is a beautiful thing that you said. Coming together more often to work together is very important, not just only for us, but also to teach the other people next to us, that sorry, younger generation, that is good to rely on others and work together
Of course,
somehow.
of
Because
course.
I feel like sometimes when you have a big artistry, some people can be very protective about
Yeah.
what they created. Rather me, I don't protect it. I rather give it out because if I give it out, it will eventually push me to do much better in the future, if it makes sense.
100%. It's within our line of work. It's not. It shouldn't be a secret, right?
Yeah.
It's expressive with what we do. I mean, this is across all share elements of creativity, whether it's a photographer,
Hmm.
videographer, graphic designer, whatever. It's
Yes.
expressive. And actually, I saw a clip on social media yesterday on Instagram on a reel, and there was a guy. I can't remember who the guy is, but his
Hmm.
content, what he was saying was his idea that when you show art online,
Hmm.
whether it's a TikTok, Instagram, you're being vulnerable. You're actually being
Yeah.
quite vulnerable because you're showing, and it was like a window into your soul. I don't want to get too deep, but
Yeah.
he was kind
Yeah.
of in the element of the window to your soul. And even if it's your friend or someone you just seen, if they're being that vulnerable with you, take the time
Hmm.
to look at it. And even if you don't
Yeah.
like it or agree with it, if someone can do that with you, then as a sign of respect or mutual respect, it's cool to kind of give it back. So I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying, and I think it's totally true, man.
Yeah. Because I even have like people like, Matt Voice. Yeah. You met him.
Yeah,
For
of course.
sure, Matt Voigt. He's one of those person like that in my career, like especially here in England. He was a big artist. I talked to him. We immediately we worked together, and he never put even when he gives tutorial or help other people. You know how many people look like Matt work because they saw his work, they learned from him and everything, and now they became very big as well. So but Matt is still working. We are still working. So even if you show some secret or some tips, I mean, I don't know how to say it. It's like after you win all the wins, how much can you
Yeah.
win? Like it's good. No,
Yeah.
you come to a point where you've done everything you really wanted in life. And I think that what will be next when you achieve everything will be actually leaving a mark for the next generation to carry on, you know? Especially us because we have children, so the importance of living this kind of is almost like a
Mm.
gift you live to them so they can walk for the rest of their life by themselves, so yeah. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head there. You hit the nail because that's exactly. I was literally going to mention that part next, and this is
Hmm.
not to close off to anyone who doesn't have children listening to this, but there's an element like your perspective on life. It changes when you become a parent,
Yeah.
right? Even before we went live, now we spoke about we got young kids, and there's an element of why are you doing what you're doing, right? I do what I do
Yeah.
because I love it, but also because it's bigger than me as well. And to be fair,
Exactly.
before I had my child, I give a lot of like I said, talk to universities, right? So
Yeah.
that's also why I do what I do for
Hmm.
third years and for second years as well, and third years, of course. So yeah, man, it's about giving back. Has to be.
Could I actually ask you, like you mentioned while you were speaking, can you tell me which university you're doing the talks, if we can have
Yeah,
it here
yeah.
online,
It's
don't
funny.
worry.
Of
Please
course, yeah.
promote it and talk about it, please.
I was gonna do a little post about it on LinkedIn today. I haven't got around to doing it yet, but so I'm speaking at Brown University. Um,
Hmm.
I'll remember the date because on my calendar, but that's in person, and that'll be solid
Okay.
because it has been a long time since I've done an in-person university tour. I've done quite a few last year, but all online. It was all online because a lot of them
Okay.
was logistically difficult to get to and whatnot. Um,
Yeah.
but Brighton's in person, and I'm also giving a talk in Reading University too, but that's online, and they're
Wow.
all in the
Very
month of
nice.
March. But it teaches me about myself when I give these talks because
Yeah.
also I always say when I give these talks to universities, this is not me giving you a lecture for an hour. It's not about that. I
Yeah.
will show you about work I've done, but I'm also going to tell you about the experiences that went wrong because
Yeah.
that's the real shit, excuse my language, that happened, right? And people will learn from that, I hope. And more importantly, at the end of the talk, throw questions at me, throw some curveballs because not only
Yeah.
am I having to understand myself when I'm talking about it, but also I'm learning based on your experiences, what you're telling me as a designer as well, right? As a young and up and
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
designer. So
Yeah.
it works both ways, man.
No, it's funny because I believe in that. Like, even now, I'm doing a lot of mentorship for new students or making art direction with some new student coming out from the university. You learn from everyone, from small, from old, because sometimes, it's funny. I feel like your mind doesn't always have the answer to everything. And sometimes somebody young can just say that one thing that will change your whole perspective on a topic you are dealt for many years. And just one word can change somebody's mindset. That's amazing,
Mm.
actually. Sorry if I shouted out like this, but I've always
No, you're
loved
good.
seeing you doing the talks. And for people that don't know you from home, please show him some love and have a look because he an amazing person to follow, and I love his talks in general. So please, subscribers, go follow him. And what else did I wanted to say? um, have been uh, being a speaker for yourself. When did it actually started to become something that you really put a lot of effort and attention on? Was it early in the
Mm,
stage that you always wanted to do that, or did it came later in life, or did something happen that make you turn into becoming more like a speaker for people?
mm.
Because I've seen you in a lot of
Um,
events, and I'm always down. I wanted to be there, but as I said, I was either
mm,
working or in a different room in the same place, but I couldn't see you live. So it's good to have this
yeah.
session on the podcast.
It's funny because like I said, we've been at so many events together, and to have a chat like this, I don't know
It's
why the
crazy.
universe didn't
Yeah,
want this to
it's
happen
crazy.
until now.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's
Um,
crazy.
okay, so to answer that question, do you know what's fun? So growing up, within my family and within my culture and within my religion as well
Mhm,
as a Christian, like when I used to go
mhm,
to my place of religion with my family a lot, I would do speaking in front of my kind of congregation. We're talking like
nice.
me at the age of like 12 and 13. So
Wow.
speaking to a room of different people from very young. No, I'm
Hmm.
not talking creativity. I'm just talking simply speaking like from the Bible and being quite a religious
Yeah, yeah,
person
yeah.
growing up. That gave that fed confidence into me, to be fair, from
Wow.
young. And when I think back to school days, I'm talking secondary school now. Like for example, I was like a form rep, which is basically like, it sounds very geeky, but it's almost like that guy in your class where you take back feedback from those in your class and you put it
Hmm.
forward to a committee alongside other form reps over years. So you're talking, you're digesting information and you're speaking it in front of a panel.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like this is me at the age of what, like 14, 15.
Oh,
So
that's
I kind of
amazing.
felt okay doing that. So obviously being 21, 22, when I'm doing a few more talks, not to say, I've mastered it, but there's a lot of skills I learned from young that I could apply there as an
Wow, that's
older
amazing.
designer. So I already had that. But don't get it wrong. uh, All the talks I do, I'm always nervous every single time. So when you listed out just now, there was a lot of talks. It's only till I go on my website and I see the talks I've done, and I'm like, that is a lot. Every single one, I remember that feeling of how I was when I first went on
Yeah.
stage, right? Or if I'm doing hosting, for example, because I also do now like hosting for DNAD and things like that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's to a more that's more to a bigger crowd, to be fair. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about crowd of people that are my age or younger. We're talking to like CEOs, right?
In
Of
the
like
business.
massive,
Yeah. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a different type of pressure. But the way I say it, I know what I'm. Well, I like to think I know what I'm saying. I prepared as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I try to speak clear as much as possible because I've also got a track
Mm-hmm.
record of I do speak fast, and I
Yeah.
have that a lot with friends in general. So there, you
But
prepare, man. You
you're
prepare.
quite
Yeah.
clear. As a foreigner, I can say you're quite clear. Like I had some
Really?
difficulties when I came to the country, even if I knew how to speak English to begin with. But it's
Okay.
funny. I really love what you said that you started early because I think if you started early, it build a certain confidence. Because me, I've it's funny, but since a young age, I've been an altar boy. I was very spiritual as well. I still believe Christian and everything, but I've always had an issue talking with people because I don't like to stay on top of people and talk to people from high up. It's a weird
Yeah.
thing. It's almost like having too much importance. I feel like I'm disrespecting the people because I'm a very humble person, and I believe I value more the persona of a person than what they do. And I believe that everybody in their own personal life have some skills that are amazing. So I never put people on this level. Like I can talk to you on the same length, same height and everything. But if you put me on a stage in front of someone, I always had a problem in feeling too high
Yeah.
up. It's a weird sensation to describe. But when things
Mm.
started getting better and I started saying, you know what, I don't mind, it's because I'd had a talk at Tate Modern, and the reaction of the people after made me feel like, wow, I kind of inspire so much people, and it kind of that gave me the strength to actually now do the podcast. Now it unlocks something in me, just because now I know I have something that I can put on the table, but this can be useful for a generation to come. Rather, before I was paying too much attention on hierarchy or how to be. I
Yeah.
don't know if in the Caribbean culture you have the same, but it's almost like you can be the strongest man, but there's always somebody stronger than you, or like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always like to be equal to people rather than being the center of attention. That's why when you people talk, I feel it like a very you have a lot of strength. Yeah, it's weird to
It
say.
carries weight. It carries
It
weight.
carries a
It
lot of
carries weight.
weight, a lot of weight, because I think one thing as well, when I did the talk, I had three David in front of me. One wanted to say the perfect quote in my mind. Then another was like, why do you word it like this? And then the other one's like, man, relax, don't run. So it's not easy. And I think maybe because I'm a foreigner as well, like even if I'm half Nigerian and I speak English, I feel like when I'm on the stage, what I have in mind never comes out the same
Yeah.
way through my
Mm.
mouth. So it's interesting to see people like you speaking and carrying that confidence, because when I see you, I'm like, oh man, yeah, that's the guy. I wish I
Mm.
could be like you, because I feel like you have that power in what you say. Like when you have that kind of tone and that confidence, you really can move a big crowd, even bigger than mine. Is very important, I feel.
But do you know what? I think you made a really good point, or several points, but the one in particular that stuck for me just now, what you said was when you mentioned about that hierarchy of when you're on
Yeah.
stage talking to people, the fact that you've got that question in your mind is already a humble thought, because not many folks, well, I
Yeah.
don't think not many folks go into a space who have a big following that has that credibility, and they go on stage and they think, do people see me as that? They just see it as I'm solid, I'm up there, I'm doing my thing, I'm maxing out.
Hmm.
And the fact that we're having, because I also do the same thing when I give university talks. I always at the beginning of my talks always say, like, I'm going to be very real from the get-go. This is not about me showing you my shiny publications that I've designed, how many pages the
Hmm.
books are. Yes, that's an element of what it is, because that's the final
Yeah.
piece. But the process is important. I'm questioning, what are you really getting from what I'm saying? And that at
Exactly.
times it's a different type of question you're asking yourself as an individual. That's a personal thing. That's not, so
Hmm.
the fact that you're having these questions and you always have it, it keeps you on a straight and narrow. And I feel like it keeps you humble as well, bro, and grounded.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
floating.
Do you feel like the industry is very humble?
Uh,
I'm just
no,
asking
no,
you from your experience.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I think the honest answer is no. But the difference is, I feel like, and I always say this to even my wife, I feel like as a community and as a society, we get better at hiding our flaws. So
Thank you.
that's why that, as we, a bit like as an adult to when you're a teenager or other around, everyone gets nervous. Every single person on this planet gets nervous. The difference
Yeah.
is that more things you do, you'll get better at hiding the nerves. Whether you're
Yes.
doing breathing exercises, whether everyone's heart, well, I assume is palpitating, right? Quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, it happens, but you get better at hiding it. So I feel like, to answer your question, I think no.
Hmm.
But I feel like people can also see through bullshit a lot more now, right? They can
Yes.
see through
Yes.
the layers
Definitely.
of rubbish. So
Hmm.
that's why being genuine and authentic is important as best as possible,
Hmm.
because people will see through it. If anything, it makes you just look silly, because folks will know that you are clearly saying what they want to hear. Is it coming from the soul?
Hmm.
Are you really saying what that is going to help others? And that's
Hmm.
where I try very hard at my talks I give to keep it
Hmm.
real. I do
Hmm.
prepare and plan. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
prepares
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
plans, but I try not to over plan, over prepare. Because if I
Yeah.
do, then I'm just reading from a script and I'm not really thinking about what I'm saying.
I am one of the ones that never prepare and just go with the flow. I'll be honest with you,
I
because I
love
think
that.
I'm dyslexic as well. So I rather not prepare, because I would take the different train, even if I prepare.
That's a
But
skill.
one
Skill.
thing I love about what you just said is, like, when I ask you the question, are most of the people humble? Is because, especially in the little community of diverse people I hang out with, there's always this topic about I don't feel good enough. Oh man, I don't know, like this. And you know, it's funny because I always tell people it's like you have to learn how to embrace yourself and sometimes give yourself your own flowers, you know, because nobody's perfect is in this world. And I think you just said it beautifully. You see, I wish I could word it like this, but it's the fact of being real to yourself, because if you go up to a stage and you're not a comedian and you just start making joke, nobody will laugh, you know, because you're not a comedian. If you're a humble person, just be that you see yourself at the mirror, and everybody will love you because they will see through everything single thing that you say, and they will feel it, you know. The feeling is another sensation that I think the first talk I had showed me. Man, big up yourself because you have so much more to give, because you are genuine, you know, because I feel like sometimes, like even when I was younger, I would walk into a room of people, but those people have been in that, they don't have nothing to give, but they are in that room since day one. And by 20 years being in that room, they have the best talk, the best presentation, but they don't have nothing to give. And then when you see those people that have a lot to give, most likely they will worry too much because they are not as perfect as they see themselves in their mind, you know. So it's very beautiful what you said. Very nice. Actually, if I have the opportunity to see the online thing on for the university, I might jump on it as well, because I would really like to. That is something I would like to explore actually in the future. It's very interesting, I think.
Universities. I think that's the beauty of because I've done quite a few uni talks, and the beautiful thing is
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of unis, they're really reaching out and really need active creative in the space, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I focus. The Brighton University. I've given a talk before at Brighton, but
Mm-hmm.
um, they are always on the lookout. I feel like I'm plugging it now, but the university in general, not just Brighton, but university in general, is all actively looking for creatives who are on the ground doing not even necessarily years and years of public speaking experience, just those who are active, got a love for it and can share experiences to help younger creatives.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about, man.
No, it's amazing. I think like I love what you're saying, just because you're making a change for the future in general of the young people. You're inspiring them as well. By the way, because we're running a little bit low on minute, I wanted to say like your love is editorial design. Tell
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
tell me where you see yourself in the future with your work. And I know it's
Solid.
a big question, but
It's
is to
loaded.
close it all, wrapped it all well and nicely, like talk about the love for editorial design, and maybe where you see yourself in the future. What would you like to do to make a difference within design?
Yeah, I where do I see things going? What do I want to be doing? Well, for one, I get such pleasure from designing, hardback magazines as well, but hardback publications. I've been quite fortunate to have worked with some really cool publishers and illustration, illustrators and designers that has that same vision and wanted to do that. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's to continue working on that. But more importantly, I'm starting to realize more and more we're in a space as a
Mm-hmm.
community where we are very conscious about what we're consuming and how much we're consuming, right? So
Yeah.
sustainability and all these elements of how we're making these books is also important. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm educating myself more and more about we're making a book, for example, a 400-page book. Cool, it looks
Wow.
great, but what was the print process? What's the how much stock have they used? How much print paper have they
Mm-hmm.
used? Ink. So I think I'm
Yeah.
more trying to better myself, understanding the process a bit better
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
space. Um, and also, going back to what we said at the beginning, we're both fathers, right? We're both parents. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
my perspective on life as a whole, not even a crip, as a life, has changed. And
Yeah.
I don't want to get too bogged down for those who don't have children, in that space. But
Mm-hmm.
I think for me as an individual, I am creating and designing things that
Mm-hmm.
I can be proud of and I can look back on it,
Mm-hmm.
but also my daughter can also look back on it as well and
Mm-hmm.
and and take some influence and inspiration as well based on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why we create what we create, especially if you're a parent, you do things to better the next generation coming up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
You
where I
think
feel
differently, I think, because before you think for yourself, rather when you have the kid, I think you start thinking, oh wow. after me, she's going to live her life here. So what can I do
Mm,
to show her the world in the best way possible? And I don't get me wrong, people that don't have kids is a choice, you know, but many people have kids in the world. So it's very important for us, not only for our son, but even the people that will be surrounding our children to actually, if they have a better future than us, that means we're leaving something for them to actually celebrate for a long term, not a short term,
of
you know?
course. It's a different
Yeah.
community, like, it'll be a different age, not just from our
Yeah.
children, but those in university. I think, like, my sister, for example, just graduated from university, right?
Okay.
The world I mean, it's not design, it's law, her space, but just
Yeah.
the the industry as of a as the working world, it's so
Mm-hmm.
different how we
It's very
graduated.
different. Yeah.
So we're having to navigate through different spaces, through different generations, and I guess it's just,
Yeah.
if you can just pass on some knowledges from what you've done before, it's only
Yeah.
gonna, organically ripple effect, I think.
Yeah. Because I feel like back in my days, like even the legacy that was left was more difficult to leave a legacy in terms of not having the technology or not having the tools or maybe the backgrounds they didn't have enough accessibility to certain things. But now in our days we can live a lot. I'll be honest with you, like, so will be really interesting to see what I will come out in the future, because
Of
definitely
course.
even the book you mentioned about your grandparents is beautiful, I think, because I didn't have the chance to show my mom and dad to my boy, and if I actually had a book where I can actually let them live forever, that is also timeless, because I will remember them and she will remember them just it was like yesterday. So you're already thinking in the right way, and I love it, you know. But anyway,
No, I know.
Kieron, we came to the time. So for all the subscribers and people that don't know Kieron, please, I will have his handle on Instagram. Make sure you follow him. He's a great guy. And please just reach out if you want to talk about anything else. Bye, everybody. Kieron, always a blessing. Yeah. Thank you very much, man.
Likewise.